There's a word that many of you know and that is a dirty word to many of you, and that word is budget and budgeting. But what many experts find helps is to think of it rather as a spending plan. It's your money, you worked hard for it, you get to choose how you're going to spend it. Now, we need to talk about creating that spending plan. The first thing is, why is it important to have one, Jeff?
Well, you know, Victoria, in order for us to gain control of our financial lives, we need to have a spending plan. It's important that we know what we have coming into the house, what's going out of the house, and specifically where it's going. We need to have a spending plan in order for us to get from where we are right now to where we want to be in life. You know, without a spending plan, Victoria, the sharks will get some of our money, won't they?
Absolutely. And the sharks, again, are those lenders swimming around in the ocean of life that are out to make a profit, and that profit is coming out of your pocket. Jeff, can you imagine a corporation that didn't know how much money they had coming in and how much they had going out? I mean, they wouldn't stay in business for more than a week, would they?
No, you're exactly right. As a matter of fact, look at yourself as your own corporation. Just put incorporated after your last name.
So the first step in creating our spending plan is to calculate and get a handle on exactly what we have coming in the way of income. The first important concept that we all need to understand is the difference between gross and net income. Now, this may be obvious to some of you, but gross is the total amount you are being paid versus net being the amount you actually take home after deductions for taxes, insurance, and anything else that may be deducted from your paycheck. Now, this was a rude awakening to me many years ago when I had my first job, because I had an annual salary that I thought was going to make me a queen. But actually, that take-home check was a very different thing. For instance, the average school teacher in America currently makes about $40,000 gross per year. With typical deductions, this would translate into about $28,800 net per year. And that $28,800 is only about $2,400 a month. So imagine this. That same school teacher with a $40,000 a year gross income is actually bringing home $2,400 a month net, and from that has to pay rent or mortgage payment of $800 a month. That leaves only $1,600 a month for utilities, groceries, transportation, everything else that you need to live on. It's a big difference. Now that we understand the difference between gross and net income, it's very important that we calculate our net monthly income from all sources. And there are a few little tricks to this. So we want to compare apples to apples all the way through our spending plan. So we need everything on a monthly basis. Well, some people are paid every 2 weeks. Some people are paid twice a month. And many of my clients used to say, well, what's the difference? The same thing. No, really it's not. Because if you're paid twice a month, you get 24 paychecks per year, whereas every 2 weeks are 26 pay periods per year. That's 2 extra pay periods per year. That makes a difference. So first, we need to calculate the net wages, the take-home amount that you get, multiply it by the frequency, the number of pay periods, and then divide by 12 to get a monthly amount. For instance, the person with the every 2 week paycheck would take their take-home amount from one check, multiply it by 26, and divide by 12 to get the monthly amount. You know, there are 3 different categories of expenses that we do need to cover: fixed, variable, and periodic. Fixed expenses are very predictable because they're the same amount and they occur at regular intervals. The typical examples are rent, apartment rent, or your mortgage payment or a vehicle payment. It's the same amount each month, comes due at the same time. That's a fixed expense. Sometimes childcare can be another fixed expense. An example of variable expenses are most of our other living expenses. So things like groceries, utilities, because they do vary from month to month. Utilities, for example, might vary greatly depending on whether you live in Maine and you have very cold winters, or if you live in a very hot part of the country and have to spend a lot on air conditioning. So the change of the seasons in the utilities will mean that you'll probably need to get a whole year's worth of utility bills, determine what you spent in the year, and divide by 12 to get an accurate figure for that variable expense. The final category of expenses are periodic expenses, and these are the tough ones because these are the emergency expenses, the unexpected, but the unexpected always inevitably occurs sometimes. So periodic expenses would include medical bills, car repairs, home repairs, any type of emergency expense that is not something you have on a regular basis. Now that we've determined the various types of expenses that we incur and we've looked at them, we need to really track where the money's going. Right, Jeff?
That's exactly right, Victoria. You know, we have money coming in and money going out, and sometimes we don't know where that money's going. I like to refer to that as money leaking out of our life. And remember, for us to have control of our financial life, we've got to know where it's all going. So, tracking our daily financial habits is essential to gaining this control. And you don't have to start off by doing it tracking for a month at a time. You could start off at tracking a day at a time, then 2 days, then maybe a week. But I'll tell you, if you do it, you'll be surprised. Have you ever started the week with $100 in your pocket, and at the end of the week there was only $5 left and you wonder where it went? Has that ever happened to you, Victoria?
Yes, sadly it has. You know, the points you make, Jeff, about leaks in our pockets are good ones. One technique that works for many people is to carry a small notebook in their pocket or pocketbook. And I mean a very small notebook, something that you can easily carry with you. And for one day, just start out with one day, record every single penny you spend on anything. I mean, 50 cents in the soda machine, anything. This has two effects. Number one, it tracks where your money's going, obviously. But number two, it's such a pain to haul out this notebook and write it down that it has a chilling effect on your spending sometimes. You think twice about whether you really want to spend $1 on that donut or whatever because you're going to have to record it in your notebook. The other thing that you mentioned, Jeff, that I think is so important to keep in mind is this sounds like a real pain in the neck. I know it does. Trust me, I know. But if you do it for one day, just one day, and you take that and build up 7 days, and now you've got a week. You don't have to do it for a whole month, but it is so important to do it for at least a week. So do it day by day for at least 7 days, and you'll be amazed at what you find. Let's just take a step back for a minute and review. We need to record all sources of income with the frequency with which we receive that income. We need to convert that frequency to monthly net income from all sources. On the other hand, our expenses. Now that we've tracked our spending and we've completed our fixed, variable, and periodic expenses, all again on a monthly basis. Well, this is very important stuff, and it really isn't rocket science. And there are tools that are available to assist you in creating your spending plan. That is, entering accurate monthly net income from all sources, accurate monthly expenditures, fixed, variable, and periodic, after having identified our budget leaks on a monthly basis as well, so that we can compare apples to apples. One such tool is available free at Hummingbird Credit Counseling and Education's website, which is www.hbcce.org. It's our credit counseling certification program, and it's available free. It will help you and assist you in entering all this information. There are little prompts and helps designed to help you do this. At any rate, when you get to the client review portion of this program, you can print out the income and expense pages. Another way of doing this same work is the workbook that is available as a free download in conjunction with this video presentation.
I think it's time that we kind of, look at the results. You know, we now know how much money we've got coming into the house. We now know how much money is going out of the house. And you know, the last time that I did this, Victoria, I realized that I had some areas in my life that needed to be straight. For instance, I found out that I had digital TV that I never used. I was spending an additional